Malaysia. Itu lagi murah katanya. Iya, Pak. Total supply. Lokalnya itu apa? Kemudian hybrid. Pokoknya jangan makan samping dulu. Itu makan dulu. Samping itu harus closing. Gitu.
Dan vektor. Terakhir vektor. Vektor. Terakhir.
2 minggu lagi melimpah lagi. Kemarin nggak begitu. Setelah melimpah itu dia bilang melimpah itu nggak punya harga diri. Murah banget. Biasanya itu sampai 30 ringgit ya. Bisa sampai 50 ringgit per ini, per biji.
Iya, selamat. Oh, tambah sehat-sehat. Oh, iya.
Hampir ibu gak?
Saya tidak. Saya di pojok. Oke.
Di bawah dong. Oh, di bawah. Iya, di bawah. Padahal kontak saya.
Oke, terima kasih. Jadi mungkin kita mulai sebentar tentang sidang ini. Pak Budi sudah pernah menyidang di SBM? Online, oke. Jadi sebagai pengingat saja bahwa sidang di ITB sekarang hanya berlangsung 1 kali. Jadi sidang ini bersifat ujian. Ujian maka penguji nanti berhak menanyakan maupun mengejar. Jadi kalau pertanyaan dia tidak memuaskan boleh mengejar dan juga penguji lain boleh menimbali untuk ujian yang dilakukan. Untuk para penguji diberikan waktu 20 menit antara pertanyaan dan jawaban, untuk pembimbing 10 menit. Nah, agar tidak terjadi redundansi pertanyaan, mungkin kita list dulu skema pertanyaan yang akan dikemukakan. Nah, nanti juga pertanyaannya berangkat dari external examiner, dari Pak Budiarso akan yang pertama kali, dan sidang ini bersifat terbuka sehingga bisa dilihat oleh seluruh sivitas akademika di ITB, sehingga silahkan saja, tapi tidak ada batasan-batasan sidang, saya serahkan pada para pengusinya. Nah, mungkin yang pertama pertanyaan dari Pak Budiarso, apa Pak kira-kira subjeknya?
Terima kasih Pak Ketua. Jadi saya akan tanyakan mengenai root definition-nya. Kan SSM ini kan terkait dengan conflicting word view. Jadi saya akan tanyakan terkait dengan root definition mereka yang Pak Thomas yang buat mengenai consumer protection. Jadi pertanyaan saya adalah tolong dijelaskan kepada sidang mengenai definisi dasar pelindungan konsumen tadi yang saya tanyakan mengenai I will ask Thomas this. Please help to walk through, right, your consumer protection root definition. Ya kan? When you define that one, that one is based on whose point of view, either the borrower or the owner of the platform, basically trying to understand. Dan yang pertama, Pak. Yang kedua saya mungkin tanya-tanya kalau terus nanti juga ketika karena kan pakai HAP, jadi saya akan tanya ketika tesisnya itu merekomendasikan ya kan what to do, apakah itu handling berdasarkan secara matematik ya. It is the recommendation based on the mathematical best answer compute by the expert score, ya kan? Or it is identifying changes that both logically sound and actually able to survive from the politic norm and power of real situation. Gitu sih Pak. Itu aja cuma dua.
Cuma dua saja?
Ya.
Oke, nanti kalau misalnya waktu masih mungkin bisa ditambah lagi.
Jadi dari satu juga saya mau elaborate terkait how you handle the accommodation dari conflicting ini.
Oke. Iya. Berikutnya dari Bu Maya.
Terima kasih Pak Ketua, Prof. Darmawan. Izin Prof, jadi ini kami menyiapkan ada 4 pertanyaan bila nanti memang dibutuhkan. Yang pertama terkait dengan financial inclusion terhadap actual poverty elevation-nya. Jadi pertanyaannya ini nanti lebih kepada kriteria yang direpresentasikan dari outcome ke lowest priority ini. Apakah does this mean that fintech lending should not be evaluated primarily by its immediate contribution to poverty reduction? Jadi lebih ke sana. Kemudian terkait dengan konseptual fundamental issue yang kita ingin konfirmasi ke Pak Thomas adalah fintech lending versus digital banking. Jadi nanti pertanyaannya lebih ke penyamaan persepsi saja, Prof. Kemudian yang ketiga adalah terkait dengan bidang kami yaitu financial literacy dihubungkan juga dengan financial education itu diprioritaskan di Indonesia siapa yang bertanggung jawab atas prioritas dari financial education itu dan siapa yang berwenang untuk menyampaikan literasi atau inklusi ini kepada seluruh stakeholder, tidak hanya di regulator atau industri, namun juga tentunya kepada komunitas. Dan yang terakhir ini lebih kepada industry implementation, Prof. Jadi framework yang ditawarkan oleh atau dipropos oleh Pak Thomas ini bagaimana sustainable framework financially sustainable-nya ke depan. Begitu, Prof. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Ya, dari Pak Utomo.
Ya, baik. Saya pertama ini ya, menarik ini ya, apresiasi SSM dengan EXP ya, secara metodologi ini kreatif gitu ya, kreatif. Saya ingin menanyakan terkait dengan penggabungan ya, penggabungan ini. Kalau saya searching di internet itu ada beberapa jurnal yang sudah menggunakan SSM dan EXP. Nah, kalau Mas Thomas ini penggabungannya seperti apa gitu ya, dan bedanya dengan skema zona sebelumnya seperti apa. Dan mungkin ada kebaruan di situ yang menarik yang bisa dijelaskan ke audien gitu ya. Bagaimana kreativitas dalam metodologi ini bisa berkontribusi juga dalam pengembangan keilmuan. Yang kedua, saya tertarik dengan filosofi ya. Filosofi dari SSM ini kan melibatkan dua
consumer protection teknologi ini, apa bedanya yang diusulkan dengan yang sebelumnya sehingga dirasakan akan lebih baik daripada sebelumnya. Mungkin saya akan meminta itu. Yang kemudian apa sih barriers dari implementasinya. Ya. Kemudian kalau menyinggung sedikit mengenai AHP, di situ konsensusnya 38,5% ya among stakeholders, sebenarnya menunjukkan banyak perbedaan pendapat ya terkait dengan tingkat kepentingan aspek-aspek yang ada. Nah, bagaimana ini dinavigasi dalam implementasi nantinya? Mungkin 3 itu saja, Pak.
Oke. Terima kasih. Pak Yuda, sudah nyambung?
Iya, saya izin post lewat chat ya, Pak
Oke,
Ketua.
silakan. Chatnya ke WA saya apa ke SPM? Ke WA saya ya? Iya. Beserta pertanyaannya nanti.
Izin sudah saya sampaikan ya, Prof. Saya izin lanjut di sini dulu. Terima kasih, Prof. Darmawan.
Oke, jadi sudah di chat ke saya. Jadi pertanyaannya adalah risk-based pricing dan advertise selection sama sekali absen. Padahal Redcap seragam memastikan lending produktif adalah temuan inti. Mengapa tidak dimodelkan sebagai alternatif kebijakan? Yang kedua, peningkatan kinerja pembayaran dan penurunan NPL belum tentu mencerminkan keberhasilan intervensi secara menyeluruh. Jika edukasi keuangan justru diikuti oleh penurunan pendapatan disposable, ketidakstabilan konsumsi, dan melemahnya ketahanan keuangan debitur akibat kewajiban membayar utang berbiaya tinggi, perlu dijelaskan apakah intervensi tersebut masih dapat dikategorikan berhasil berdasarkan angka penelitian yang diajukan. Yang ketiga, bagaimana sebuah kerangka pengentasan kemiskinan dapat secara tepat menggabungkan kredit mikroproduktif dan kredit digital berorientasi konsumsi. Sementara sumber pembayaran kembali serta dampak keduanya terhadap kesejahteraan mungkin berbeda secara fundamental atau bahkan bertolak belakang. Dan bagaimana aplikasinya. Ya, jadi secara list pertanyaan dari para penguji dan supervisor tidak ada yang bentrok. Mudah-mudahan nanti pada dinamika sidang bisa saling melengkapi, bisa saling mengkaji lebih dalam lagi. Nah, berikutnya, oke, kita akan mulai dari, kalau ada yang mau ke belakang dulu, silakan. Ya. Kita mulai saja ya, karena ini hari Jumat. Before dissertation defense is started, please set your mobile phone into silent mode, and it is not allowed to take picture or photo during the dissertation defense except who had already had permission from SPM ITB since it will disturb its processes. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings for all of us. With Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I declare this dissertation defense is started. This dissertation defense is held to give opportunity to doctoral candidate Thomas Airlangga to deliver his dissertation research title, A Soft Systems and Analytic Hierarchy Process Framework for Prioritizing Fintech Lending Strategies to Support Poverty Alleviation in Indonesia, and answer question or defend his dissertation against critics or comment in this session. Doctoral candidate has been doing his dissertation research under supervision of a team of promoter as follows: Professor Yosunitoso, STMM PhD from ITB as Chief Promoter, and Oktova Yuda Sudrajat, STMSM PhD from ITB as Co-Promoter. While examiners in these sessions are Professor Dr. Insinyur Utomo
in Indonesia, and using theoretical framework in the area of system theories, and then social action theory, as well as technology, organization, environment framework, and stakeholder theory. He studied the financial inclusions, poverty theory at the applied level. And the theoretical contribution of the research lies in the identifying systemic tensions that explain why well-intentioned intervention repeatedly produce paradoxical outcome, namely innovation versus protection, inclusion versus sustainability, and local versus digital. And at practical level, the research produce input, process, output frameworks that specify the implementation sequence of fintech lending strategy, beginning with financial education, followed by regulatory oversight, consumer protection technology, in an arrangement supported by continuous evaluation. He published peer-reviewed articles in the journal, one Synthetry journal, one Scopus Q1 journal, and yes, another one is Scopus Q1. So two Scopus Q1, because in and there is another one which that's accepted after the submissions of the dissertation. And the dissertations of Thomas Airlangga make significant contribution both academic scholarship and industry practice, particularly in fintech lending governance and formulation of financial inclusion strategy oriented toward poverty alleviation in Indonesia. With those results, I hold my confidence in the quality of the research, so I recommend him for the forthcoming dissertation defense. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chief Promoter. Now, could you please invite Dr. Candidate to attend this session and all supporters. Okay, Dr. Candidate, you are given opportunity to present your dissertation research in maximum 25 minutes. So it is time for you, please. Where's the doctors?
Okay, for the online participant, I'm audible. Am I audible? Okay. Okay, let's start. Good morning, esteemed professors, examiners, and all attendees online and offline. Thank you for the opportunity to present my dissertations. My name is Thomas Airlangga, and this is my beautiful assistant Lala. So, and today I'm presenting my doctoral research title, A Soft System Analytic Hierarchy Process Framework for Prioritizing Fintech Lending Strategies to Support Poverty Alleviations in Indonesia. In practical terms, this research is how we can direct fintech lending towards genuine poverty alleviations while protecting borrower from new vulnerability. Okay. The empirical and methodological foundations of these dissertations is grounded in 4 peer-reviewed publications. These cover a systematic literature review in 2025, a soft system validations in system research and behavioral science journal, a psychometrics credit scoring study in social science and humanities open journal, and a trust risk case study accepted in the International Journal of Business Innovations and Research. Currently, I'm preparing a book publication as well on this, based on these dissertations, and plan to be published soon. Maybe you can scan this barcode to get preview of the book. I also in the process of patent registrations for my framework called peering. Peering is pinjaman daring. As the result of the research at Law and Justice departments, hopefully by the end of the month, this patent is already approved. Go to the next slide. Okay, to understand why the research is vital, we must examine the inclusion poverty paradox in Indonesia. On paper, financial inclusions looks like a resounding success, rising from 75% in 2022 to over 80% in 2024, with bank and digital accounts ownership jumping to 76%. Yet, 1 in 5 Indonesians remain entirely excluded, concentrated heavily in rural areas. Crucially, despite 80% inclusions, 68.3% populations here is still below poverty line of 6.85% US dollar per day. So, who left behind? Nearly half of Indonesian adults are unbanked, and 30% of digital finance users are underbanked. They have wallet or accounts, but cannot share loans due to lack of collateral or informal incomes. When this population turn to P2P out of necessity, they face acute risk. Non-users and active borrowers facing fears around data privacy, predatory terms, and aggressive collections. Tragically, as of early 2025, illegal P2P platform blocked by OJK reached almost 10,000 platforms. The registered platform or the licensed platform only 96, but OJK blocked 10,000 platforms. What it means is this is a massive shadow market preying directly to the excluded. This paradox is further driven by structural credit debt crisis. Indonesia formal credit to GDP ratio has stagnant 36.4%. Maybe I can use this. 36.4% for a decade. Our SME outstanding loan to GDP sits on 6.6%. Our SME is behind drastically compared to our neighbors like Malaysia, 20%, and China, 55%. For your information, micro, small, and medium enterprise generate over 60% of our GDP and employ 97% of our workforce. Yet 65% of them, say 43 million, have difficulties to access to credit. This leaving estimated credit gap around 234 billion US dollars. High interest is not solved the barrier, but structural collateral demands and weak credit infrastructure lock them out. Okay, next. Okay, looking at the trajectory here, P2P lending outstanding surged sixfold from 2000. Here is from around maybe 5 to 6 years ago to around 87 trillion rupiah by late 2025. But past literature emphasized that fintech is double-edged sword. Rapid expansion without governance accelerate over-indebtedness, impulsive borrowing, and data privacy breaches. most existing studies evaluate this issue in isolations or strictly through quantitative metrics. My study bridged this gap by applying multi-stakeholder system-level approach to design responsible financial inclusion framework. Next. Next slide. Yeah. Okay. To guide these investigations, the study established 4 interconnected objective and research questions. First, to map diverse stakeholders' perspective and uncover systemic challenges in fintech lending. Second, to evaluate how current digital lending ecosystem affect poverty reductions from multiple viewpoints. Third, to identify and quantitatively prioritize the critical criteria determining fintech effectiveness. And fourth, to synthesize this insight to an optimal, actionable framework for strategy selections and implementations. Okay, next. Oh, yeah, no, yeah. To analyze this complex environment, I grounded the research in complementary theoretical framework. System theory frames fintech as an open socio-technical ecosystem driven by feedback loops. Social exchange theory explains adoption dynamics as cost, benefit, and trust relationship. The TOE, technology organization environment framework, captures structural adoptions drivers, while stakeholder theory ensure multi-actor alignment across regulators, platform, and vulnerable borrowers. Okay, this is the literature review, a systematic Prisma review of 165 articles, and then down to only 34 core studies reveal major gaps in current literature. And fintech as a research is also growing since 2020 up to now, meaning that this research is also very good research. I mean, research topic is they're still doing it up to now. So in the research gap table here, 79% here of the study measure nominal access rather than usage quality. And poverty alleviation research remain dominated by short-term income metrics rather than sustainable poverty exit. Soft system on the methodology here, soft system methodology is absent from all the literature review that I read. However, this is a very complex problem. So existing evidence remains fragmented and access-driven, lacking a unified analytical model that links regulator, bank, platforms, and low-income borrowers together. Next, okay. To address this, my research design adopt pragmatist philosophy using a dual method as combining SSM and AHP, analytical hierarchy process, across 3 phases step. Phase 1, I will use SSM step 1 and 3 to structure the problem situation through rich picture, stakeholder worldview, and also CATWU root definition. And the phase 2 use SSM step 4 and 5 to build conceptual models using TOE frameworks and compare ideal system against real world practice. And then phase 3 translates these qualitative gaps into a quantitative EHP hierarchy using pairwise comparisons from expert to established policy priorities. And the data collections involve multiple methods. This is a FGD that we are doing in Jakarta and Gombong. And this is some of our in-depth interview. And we also doing a document review. This is allow the study to capture both institutional logic and also lived experience. Because in the FGD, you can see also in the attachment of the dissertations, a lot of things is revealed and very deep what we found during the FGD and also in-depth interview. The sample was purposely selected, not randomly drawn, because this is the appropriate descent for the qualitative system work. The goal was depth of understanding across stakeholder perspective, not statistical representations. I also analyzed policy documents, regulatory guidance, POJK, and industry report to triangulate the interview findings, because I, as a bank executive, has a bias when I do the in-depth interview or FGD. On the SSM step 1 surface, 14 interconnected problems, themes dominated the ecosystem. There are 14, like borrower experience, debt collection trauma. This is a lot of experience on the, and power asymmetry against algorithms. Regulator face paradox, where strict rate caps accidentally drive excluded borrowers towards illegal platform. So there's a dilemma also as well in regulators. We also observe too many to fail, enforcement paralysis, license commodifications, a growing gambling lending nexus, and a complete collapse of productive SME lending under current cap structure. If you observe the fintech platform of productive fintech platform, almost all of them now is getting collapsed because of pricing. Step 2, next slide. Okay, next step 2, yeah. Okay, step 2, structure this finding across 6 analytical dimensions, from operational, educational, financial, cultural, technology, and regulations, regulatory or governance. Regulators struggles with oversight speed versus platform innovations. Platform balance user access against risk management. And traditional digital scoring completely missed the character-based social capital that rural community leaders rely on for high repayment success. The next is risk picture. Maybe in the summary is very small, so I'll try to explain. Our risk picture captures the real world web of frictions. Borrower face debt collectors scaling their contacts. Regulators sit trapped between protecting customers and avoiding platform from collapse. Banks want fintech, but fear reputational damage. Investors suffer default losses, and illegal operators simply change IP address whenever Kominfo block them. So it is explained the 10,000s blocking because of every time they block by Kominfo, they create another IP for illegal fintech lending. So in this part of risk picture, we can see there are also concern from media and intermediary. Media wants transparency on the fintech lending. The next part selected, okay. This is also concern from banks and also investor. Investor mainly like investor, fishery investor. There are a lot of investors that currently the game is high risk and high return. The bank and also illegal platform, a lot of illegal platform in the industry. The next is also on the educational institutions. If you know that there is maybe no curriculum or no specific curriculum, educate people how to manage their financial. This is a borrowers I already explained, and also regulators that previously I also already explained. The next one is also, there is a voice from, next slide. Yeah. From Association of Fintech, because this is usually, there is a conflicting between regulator and also Association of Fintech, and also technology provider and community leaders. Okay. Now let's go to the step 3 on the problem root definitions. There are 4 subsystems that in the problem root definitions: customer protection system, regulatory oversight system, technology risk management system, and financial education system. In the customer protection system, we must shift from reactive interventions to proactive preventions. On the regulatory oversight require integrated and adaptive governance. On the technology risk management must pair cybersecurity with social validations, and financial educations must become mandatory and community embedded. The overall CATWO framing defines the transformations, moving from fragmented predatory fintech practices to an integrated ecosystem delivering sustainable long-term poverty alleviations. Step 4 translates the step 3 root definition into a conceptual model that explains how coordinated consumer protections, regulations, technology risk management, and financial education framework address systemic lending failures. The model shows that resolving innovation protections, inclusion sustainability, and local digital tensions require integrated ecosystem-level interventions rather than isolated reforms enabling sustainable financial inclusions. While step 4 it defines the integrated transformation logic of the fintech lending ecosystem, step 5 operationalizes this logic by systematically converting qualitative stakeholder evidence into decision-ready priorities. This is achieved through structured coding progressions from open coding of stakeholder statement to actual coding that aggregates related issues into core gap categories: consumer, regulatory, technology, and educations, which are evaluated and weighted using the analytic hierarchy process, or AHP, to determine implementation priorities under multiple criteria. This is the result of AHP, and I think the result is pretty interesting because continuity here at 26.1%, followed by stakeholder acceptance 20.9%, proving that experts prioritize long-term sustainability over immediate access speed. At the sub-criteria level, here, educations, all here, education is also here, educations. Education-focused strategy dominates the ranking, claiming the highest global priority across poverty alleviations, risk mitigation, stakeholder acceptance, and continuity. I resolved this because I propose an optimal 4-step cyclical framework. If you see in your summary, I think it's slightly different because this is just created before, after this. So we call it peering framework. Peering is pinjaman daring. Actually, the content is the same with this, but I try to make it more scientific and good looking compared to only just blocks diagram. So the peering framework, we have 4 phases of implementation. Yeah, this is the input, this is the process, and this is the output. It's the same with the framework, but I think in this framework, I would like to give a process that the first step should be financial educations, build borrower capability, literacy, and trust as the highest impact and the highest consensus interventions. Yeah. And the step 2, regulatory oversight. This is to strengthen governance and enforcement to close gap between legal platform and illegal lenders. This is also the job between so many parties, Kominfo, OJK, and also police department. Step 3, consumer protections, accountability mechanism. This is introduce fairness, safeguard, transparency, and borrower rights. Once stakeholder capacity and regulatory readiness improve, despite internal policy resistance. And then step 4 on the technological integrations, deploy digital tools to enhance scale and efficiency only after education and safeguard are in place. Now the practice is vice versa. technology is jump first. Education, we don't know whether it is doing it or not. So the impact is what currently we face. To conclude this dissertation addressed 4 key questions by showing that fintech challenges stem from structural incentive misalignment rather than technical limit. In the research question 1, challenges are driven by structural incentive misalignments and 3 systemic tensions: innovation and protections, inclusions and sustainability, and local versus digital. Current ecosystem perpetuates cycle of vulnerability due to regulatory fragmentations and lack of data infrastructure. And the research question 3, continuity and stakeholder acceptance are paramount. Financial education is the highest priority interventions. So we have to do intervention in financial education. And the research question 4 is answered by my peering framework provides the optimal sequence policy roadmap. Theoretical contribution from this research are: we extend TOE and social exchange theory by proving that social capital and trust dominate technological readiness in digital financial inclusions. Methodologically, we establish a novel, replicable SSM to AHP bridging protocol sequencing and test the transferability of the peering framework across other developing economies, while fintech is also growing in Southeast Asia and Africa. Professor, examiners, and all attendees, thank you for your attention. My closing statement: fintech lending holds immense potential to bridge Indonesia $234 billion credit gap. But technology without capability is merely automated exploitations. By shifting our paradigm from tech-first access to education-first empowerment, we can ensure that digital finance serves as true exit ramp for poverty. Thank you very much once again. I look forward for your questions and discussion.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Do you need to drink first before we have question and answers?
Oh yeah, thank you, Pak.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the session is continued with question and comments. First, I would like to ask the external examiners, Dr. Budiarso from IBM Consulting, to deliver some question and comment. Please, it's time for you.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas, for the presentation. So my questions is focused on SSM. Understand that you take SSM of the methodology because it's involving so many stakeholders, right? Like the borrower, fintechs owners, regulators, investors. Now, just first question is, please help me to walk through regarding your root definition, the consumer protection, right? Can you show the table, I think the CAT-WHO analysis for the subsystem 1, the consumer protection system.
Okay.
Right, please. And then my question that when you draw that, define the root definition, this for the consumer protection, trying to understand that definition, right? It is from whose point of view? And then if my understanding is trying to get the point of view, right, from the borrower and the platform owner. So if I ask the borrower or the platform owner whether they will give the same root definition as you stated in your thesis. That's the first answer.
Okay, thank you, Pak Budiarso. Let me open my.
You need your assistance?
The careful analysis of the consumer on the what the transform reactive customer protection proactive prevention of borrower exploitation. Here in the description of customer, here borrower. So this is the primary is vulnerable borrower reactive from documentation and financial risk of they said they have very small knowledge. Even they cannot calculate how the interest is calculated. So they don't know. They just find lending, and then because nobody usually give them lending, they found Fintech that will give lending. And then on the secondary leaders seeking to protect residents from exploitation. During the discussion, they said a lot of things that already happening in the they have a lot of channel, but it has is OJK Consumer Protection Division. So if you see the Consumer Protection Divisions receive 20,000 complaints and 7,000 of it is coming from the Fintech. And this transformation that we want to do, reactive system where borrowers suffer from default protection. Borrowers have a problem, they must go to OJK first. And then OJK will go to Fintech lenders, and Fintech lenders, you know, if there is any complaint, they will, fix, and then they try to have a solution. But the problem here is if customer is even cannot calculate their interest, how come they can go to OJK? Only several customers, maybe a big and educated customer, can go here. The transformations is currently the active system where borrower suffer first before protection activate. And then transformation is collections. If maybe majority of the activity have a very bad experience on the collection harassment. The collection harassment for illegal is out of level was one is they have deal with because of this is the conditions. There are also different sets of people, and what we are observing during the third report, and they said, "You don't know, my debt is only in the upper, to become now 1 million very quick."
Dr. Thomas, okay. My question is, because in SSM, basically we are trying, the objective of SSM is doing the accommodation, right? It is very clear. So if this is the statement about consumer protection, right? My assumption, this is, just take this is about borrower and the platform owner, right? So whether because you are mentioning all the time is about lack of financials literature for the borrower. But my assumption that's not what, it's not about what borrower's interest, right? Because it's trying to understand. My point that how you accommodate, right? These two different word view, right? Can you show that in a simple word, what is the borrower want and what the borrower do not want? And then what is the platform owner want? And then what is the platform owner do not want? Okay, then how in the process of doing the SSM, you accommodate that two different word view?
They want clear and transparent. And if there is any difficulty, the borrower simple, don't make harassment or people spread out the people or that this feedback is I'm borrowing property. Sometimes if you go to the very bottom of the pyramid person, if they miss the payment for what, they cannot survive for the entire of, because usually they want a product that you are in the Lebaran period. The Lebaran period only they always delinquency of time. You miss one payment. Lebaran period. They will have a product that really can have the payment one.
Flexible, yeah, just the bullet point, the flexible payment. Then what else? The collection, right? This is what they want. And then what the other ones?
The other one is that if they want to have a relationship with
Basically, collection they do not want, right? Because they do not want that the fintech owner send the debt collector, right? They want to get the interest rate, of course, fintech, right?
taking the risk, right? So for instance, like this kind of low income and no data in bureau, the interest should be as high as maybe 70 to 80%. This is something that the fintech lending that registered in OJK. But for illegal fintech lending, there are a lot of which I split it into two, right? This is the fintech lending legal and the illegal fintech lending. I don't want to speak about illegal because I never meet the illegal fintech lending owner, but I meet the directors from fintech lending legal. What they want is they want a very good infrastructure to predict the risk. The risk.
Understood. But my question is trying to understand this borrower want, do not want, and fintech want, do not want. What is the structure thinking when doing this thesis, right? You come up with the accommodation, which is, from my understanding, as from my knowledge, this the accommodation later on we translate to our root definition as problem statement, because this is the system that we are going to develop in the futures. How you accommodate, I mean, these two different word view.
So I already mentioned previously that in the solutions of it, so we have the solution from this, because like I mentioned here, previously we are very reactive on this one. The logical thinking is, I want to make this is quite smooth. Smooth meaning?
Point, I mean, like for example, we identify, you said that the borrower doesn't want like debt collector, want to have a flexible payment term, even the low interest, and then the fintech owner, of course, want to have a viable platform. Just for example, from my understanding, definitely there is a common one, even the two different word view, they will have a shared goal, which is, for example, they do not want illegal platform. Okay, so that's why it's, my question is, can you identify another point of view that what is this accommodation? I mean, for example, okay, understanding. So basically, definitely these two, even they have a different word view, but they want one thing in common, which is illegal platform.
Thank you, Pak Budiar. So I think that is the common, I agree, because currently the existing legitimate fintech is also, because of this, because of illegal platform, they have a bad image in the society. Most, maybe if you ask Indonesians, 3 out of 4 people hate pinjol or hate fintech lending. But actually, because of this, and the collection harassment is also because of illegal platform. The legal platform, they have ethics, they have conduct that are regulated by OJK.
So that's why it's just want to share basically the idea of SSM, right? To have the accommodation. Because we understand the problem is complex and ill-defined. That's why you have this FGD, do the rich pictures, right? You ask what do you want, what you don't want. Because in the process of accommodation, there are 3 structures thinking. First is about shared goal, right? Like giving example, if 2 partner living in the same apartment, but one is a vegetarian. You know what I mean? So the shared goal, the SN is something that they can share, but the same goal, they see the same thing with different point of view, different word view.
Yeah.
For example, cleanliness.
Yeah.
They want to have this apartment clean. Of
Yeah.
course, people vegetarian, yeah, I want to have a clean apartment.
Yes.
But people that eat meat a lot,
Yes.
also, I want to have a clean.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
That's something that the structured thinking on how you understanding your picture and come up with the accommodation.
Yes.
Okay, the second one is about the structural accommodation. Something that genuinely
Yeah.
these two word view have a conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is a design that this is as an analytic, that's why the thesis should be analyzed. How I design something so at least it will be a win-win solution.
Yes.
For example, they're sharing the same kitchen, right? Of course, if you apply one rule, they will fight.
Yeah.
That's why the design is telling, okay, hey, you guys eat meat, so you can cook from 8 to 12.
Yeah.
After that, you clean the kitchen. Then the next is for the vegetarian. That's
Yeah.
why the structure about this, the structural accommodation.
Yes.
And the third one, the fact that reality that we cannot avoid, something that is a conflict. Right?
Yeah.
For example, in the room, there is only one thermostat,
Yeah.
one dial.
Yeah.
Okay? And that is not about consensus accommodation, right?
Yes.
This is one dial, so that's it.
Yeah.
It's a trade-off. So normally, the highest authority of person to make decision.
Yeah.
That's why it's the thinking that my assumption that you are doing in that thesis in analyzing this, the difference word view.
Yeah. Thank you, Pak.
Once you understand, you accommodate, then you
Yes.
translate that one into your root definition.
Yes.
Become the new process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Pak Budi.
My second question. You are using EHP, right?
Yes.
So in your thesis, you come up with a recommendation what to do.
Yeah.
Okay. My question, right? When you come up, you build that recommendation based on the best in the mathematically answers, or it is by the identifying changes that are both logical, sound, and actually able to survive, basically desirable and feasible.
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Budi. I think mathematical is one thing. We already have it, the result. And I think this is from the experts that choosing it. But again, in terms of the actionable, like desire and actionable and also applicable, I think this is something that we also relate with the previous steps in the SSM. We do believe that I think what the expert choose in this research is aligned what we are thinking since from the beginning of SSM. So not only the mathematical wise, but also there is also logical and also what we call it like whether this is executable or not executable as well.
So I simplified my question. When you build your conceptual model, that one is your belief, your conceptual model is a mathematical model that you can optimize?
Yes, first is optimized by mathematical model. Yes. Yes. Mathematical model. First, from the AHP, and then after that, from the AHP, we saw that that number one is education, for instance, in this case. So we believe also that this optimizations or agreement between experts that choose education first is the most important thing, is something that, we based on that, we develop this model. Yeah.
So what is
do you have any suggestion for that?
So I changed my question.
Yeah.
What is the difference with between the mathematical modeling with this SSM model?
Yeah, the difference is SSM is basically there are soft system. There are a lot of things happening here, so the problem is also ill structured. The AHP is
Yeah,
Yeah.
SSM
yeah.
model
Yeah.
and mathematical model. What are the
Yeah, the mathematical model is hard system, right? They just doing everything is just very variable things, and after that I have to choose, I have to believe. But in the SSM case, the data is not there, meaning that even the consensus is only as a tools for us to agree as a per mathematical, because this is combined methodology, right? When the combined methodology is already employed, and I only employed in step 6 and 7. Step 1 to 5, we still use pure SSM, which is not what we call it like hard system.
Can you adjust or optimize our SSM model?
Yes, using that. In my opinion, because in SSM model, like I mentioned in my limitation of research, there is like interpretations during maybe as I also put my bias as a bank, also a bank executive. So this could be something that can be minimized or prevent by using mathematical model. So in this case, I would like to make this more objective in terms of logical things to develop the finding model, Pak Budi.
So it's just sharing the difference between the mathematical modeling and SSM modeling, because mathematical modeling you can optimize.
Yes, yes.
But SSM is about human behaviors.
Yes.
You cannot optimize. The optimization will come as a result of the accommodation.
Yes.
A simple, because I see you have a daughter. If you push your daughters, right, for something that you believe and she doesn't believe, there will be no optimization.
I agree.
But if you accommodate her interest, then she will do the best and then she will produce this optimization. So the sharing is, that's the difference between the mathematical model and SSM model. That's why it's an SSM model. This is a work. Once you're setting up, you do this solutioning, and then you have to go back and in iteration, you optimize.
Yeah.
So you cannot do something like one model like mathematical, you do one optimization.
Iteration, another iteration. Yeah. Okay.
This is SSM.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pak Budi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pak Thomas, good morning, Pak Thomas. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Prof. Dermawan, distinguished promoter, Prof. Yosunitioso, and co-promoter Bapak Dr. Yuda Oktova. And then for the examiner, Prof. Utomo, Pak Budi, also Pak Thomas SC candidate PhD ya Pak ya. First of all, I would like to congratulate you, Pak Thomas, that you're completing this doctoral research. Also, I really appreciate your dissertation attempt to address the important paradox between the increasing financial inclusion and the continuing challenges of poverty alleviation ya Pak ya. I think this is not simply a financial or technological problem, Pak, but it is involve multiple stakeholder. Pak Budi mentioned about the behavioral challenges as well, also the regulatory issue and the institutional constraint, as you mentioned on your dissertation. Okay, I have 3 questions, Pak Thomas. The first is about the financial education that you mentioned this paradox. Yeah, Indonesia has experienced significant growth in financial and digital inclusion, yet this has not automatically translated into poverty alleviation. So your finding further shows that financial education received the highest EHP, right? For the 39.3%. While the direct poverty alleviation impact received the lowest weight in 13.1% ya Pak ya. Okay. Pak Thomas, however, from an industry perspective, the financial education often treated as a desirable policy objective, but it is difficult to implement, Pak. especially the effectively implement in any stages ya Pak ya. So what do you mean? What your comment Pak about this statement ya? Who should actually be responsible for delivering this financial education? Is it the fintech company, the bank, the FSA or OJK, Bank Indonesia, local government maybe, university, school, or the community organization, or the borrower themselves, Pak? So the second one is who should finance those program or those priority, and how can it be measured to show that this program or to show that the financial education can be directly into the to increase the growth of for the Indonesia community ya Pak ya.
Yeah.
That's my first question. So please your comment Pak Thomas.
Okay, thank you, Ibu. Jadi, so for the financial educations is difficult to implement. My comments is who should do the financial educations? The answer based on my discussions in or you know as one program. It's already late, by the way. So I think this is something that that we can do, and I think if how much the who should finance those program. I think for family, I think what we need to do, we have a lot of tools that we can do. Why in the churches or any other, there is nothing, you know, in my opinion, a lot of doing moral preaching, while this is something very good to be insert as well. So for the family, this should be coming from, you know, a lot of people, because we should be hand in hand. First, we have to know and we have to acknowledge that we have this problem. The financial management in every aspect of our life in Indonesia. Why corruption is very high is also because of financial management as well. So that's my comment for the first questions. And how to measure? How to measure that this is successful? I think how to measure is, if I may say, is if we still see there are a lot of things that people caught and caught doing impulsive buying, doing impulsive things that it's supposed to be not to do that. If you can compare, maybe all of us know that if you compare with the developed country compared to us, it is very easy for us it's easy to be campaign in terms of a discount or something, right? But there's at the person's level, the what we call it, like how they decide, because this should be from the internal is already ready. So I think that's the how to measure it. I cannot say that this can be, but if there is a lot of problem right now, like the fintech problem, this means that we still in the far away from the ideal situation of financial education in Indonesia. That's my point.
Okay, thank you, Pak Thomas. Yeah, I agree with you, Pak, that we still have many challenges into the gap between the financial inclusion and financial literacy
yeah.
in Indonesia, even though we know that the financial inclusion index is higher than
Yeah.
the literacy, but there are some the theory the theories say that the financial literacy should be higher than the financial inclusion, right? So that's
Yeah, at least now in Indonesia, financial inclusions is 80%, but financial literacy is 60%. So meaning that there are 20% that people that already access by financial system, they don't have literacy. So I think this is something that we need to have, and we need to also to understand what is in the survey from BI, what is the financial literacy means in the survey. So we need to be honest, because sometimes in Indonesia, there are a lot of things that we like good numbers, but the essence is not like that. So meaning that we can do many things, a lot of things to be done for everybody in the room, and also on the online as well, that there are two main problems in our grassroots now. Number one is online lending, second is online gambling. I repeat it many times because I'm experiencing a lot of complaints, maybe your relatives, a lot of things is now in the difficulties of that. And seems like our government not really pay attention about it. Yeah, thank you.
good. Thank you, Pak Thomas. Okay, my second question is about your framework.
Yeah.
I think this is the industry implementation, Thomas. So your framework emphasized that financial education, inclusion, protection, and poverty alleviation, ya Pak ya. So there are a social desirable objective, but fintech lending companies ultimately need minutes to manage the credit risk, the operating costs, the customer acquisition cost, the fraud, the collection costs, also the regulatory compliance. So how can a commercial fintech lending company implement your proposal strategy without destroying their own financially sustainable, Pak?
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I partner with a lot of fintech lending, and I know how they operate. What they want is sustainability. So they want to operate in Indonesia longer than maybe, if you can compare with the fintech lending in China, is already gone now. In India is also already gone now. So they want to be more sustainable. What they can do, so for instance, like in the first steps, financial educations, what can they do? They are very sophisticated in technology. They can do a financial education during the processing of applications. They can enhance the applications into, but this is against, there is also conflicting. If I only the fintech lending company that doing that, I will less competitive. But if the regulator said, before you approve a loan, you have to provide like small, maybe Ibu have ever experience if you are doing investment. Before you do investment, there is a compulsory for you to do a quiz. From the quiz, we will see your risk profile. If your risk profile is high, meaning that we only offer you the conservative products, something like that. So in the fintech lending is also like that. So if you pop up a quiz and said that, okay, that meaning that how many loans that you already have. So for instance, they said 5. This can be verified through BI or OJK Slick. And then how many or how you pay, something like that, directly in their portal, they can categorize, these consequences, your installment will be this. If you are not paying, your installment will be this high. This kind of thing should be there, because what in the grassroots said that what they are doing, they only want the loan. They don't know the consequences. While if you are applying a loan, you have to repay the loan. And even in my restriction also, there are intermediaries. In the grassroots, if you are villagers, I am the intermediary, said, oh, you want to have a loan from me? I can make it approved. Give me your IDs, and after that, I will apply on behalf of you. So for instance, like You apply for 1 million, I give you only 700 because 300 is for me as intermediary fee. And then the conflict is starting. The fintech lending said, you owe us 1 million. Well, I only receive 700. I only pay 700. This kind of things is happening. So the fintech lender as a commercial organization, they have the ability, but there should be a push from the regulators, which is in this term is OJK.
They have to comply with the OJK as well,
Yes.
but they need to sustain their business through this platform.
Yes.
Then they have to do many strategy. We hope
Yes.
that your dissertation can make or give them the insight for doing their business process, ya, Pak, ya?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, my last questions, Pak. I am very interested with your peerings framework, Pak.
Yeah.
So let us put your dissertation, ya, Pak, ya, into a practical decision making
Yeah.
situation. So assume that the FSA or OJK, also the Indonesia government through the Ministry of Finance,
Yeah.
the COMGD you mentioned before, the fintech lending companies, bank or local government ask you to implement your peering framework tadi
Yes.
to their area. So give me your 3 highest priority, Pak.
Yeah.
What is your 3 highest priority intervention? And then who is responsible, who will pay based on these 4 steps? And then what KPI should be used? And what period that we should expect the measurable poverty-related outcome? Please, Pak Thomas, your
Okay,
comment.
thank you, Bu. So I have shared this framework, not this framework, because this is honestly is just developed 1 week ago. So this is not yet, but I think the last framework that already shared to Aftech, Associate Fintech. So my plan is also sharing this to OJK and also House of Representatives Commission 11 for this. So what will I do for this? If I go to House of Representatives, what I want is to push like I mentioned previously, the curriculum of financial education in our elementary school and also kindergarten. That's number 1. This is to fulfill this one, because the financial education takes like a marathon, not just finance and project. We have some, financial seminar or something. So that's number 1. Second, on the financial education itself, I will put a compulsory, like I mentioned previously, in all partners, all fintech companies, to provide like a quiz to make sure that everyone that doing lending is already acknowledge and understand what they are applying for. This could be from a technology part. On the regulatory oversight or institutional enabler, I already met a police department, and I already met also Kominfo and OJK. These 3 should be talking each other. All of them, when I met them in doing in-depth interview, they never had a formal meeting even to do it. They have it once. The president have a task force for online lending, illegal online lending. It's already maybe 1 or 2 years. After the president already changed to the new presidents, this is not continuing again. So these kind of things, the coordination between 3 on the regulatory oversight is also like that. And for this, they have a capability to alert. So if somebody is already over in-depthness, you cannot lend anymore. Because what my experience, Bu, I have an analysis of risk management that first lending from fintech doing very good. But the second or third lending, they start to delinquent. Why? Because after first lending, they will offer by 3 or 4 fintechs together. What they think, because financial literacy is very minimum, they just accept it and they over leverage. And then they start to default once again. So I think this is the second one. On the consumer protection should be more what we call it like preventions. Those things that I already mentioned should be doing it more upfront rather than after OJK had complaints. This kind of things is already happening. If you have a very what get measured get done, good measurement of customer protection in the platform. And the last one on the technology integrations, like if you have a more sophisticated products, you should ensure that this financial education is already done. Don't create another complicated product to the grassroots, because what we experience now, the product is getting, more and more sophisticated for them. So like balloon payment. So first you do a very low installment. At the end, you will have a big installment. This kind of things maybe is not good for the people. Maybe if applied to the university graduates, you can have a balloon payment methodology because you know how to manage your financial. But if you do it in the grassroots, you always a very simple product, only installment product, no other like flexible payment, these kind of things. A lot of things make them confused. That's my view. If I have the opportunity, hopefully I can have the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Thomas. Yeah, I think your thoughtful response to the question raised during this examination make it all is clear. So overall, I believe that this dissertation can represent to valuable contribution to the field of financial education, ya Bapak ya, and also the effectiveness support for poverty alleviation in Indonesia. My recommendation, Pak, if possible, you could put the digital financial literacy in section into your book. So I think that section will give more insight for the readers, ya Pak Thomas ya. Thank you. I have no more questions, Mr. Chairman. I give it back to you.
Thank you very much. So the next opportunity given to Professor Utomo.
Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations, Pak Thomas, ya, for your, you can standing here, ya, to defend, ya, to defend your research. Okay, yeah, I think in this room, ya, the examiners, there are two category interest, ya. One interest on the subject about fintech, ya, lending. The second interest about the methodology, and Budi Arso is interested on methodology, and me also, ya, and follow up Pak Budi Arso, ya. Yeah, so understanding, ya, I'm trying to understand that you try to interested in the transformation to shifting the fintech lending ecosystem from a high risk loan provider into tools to support poverty alleviation. Yeah, this is very important. Yeah. So just the tools for loan provider into tools to support poverty alleviation. Yeah, and I try to understand why you use SSM, because the transformation is problematic.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not structure. Yeah, it is unstructured. Yeah. So that's why Pak Budi Arso asking root definition and conflict and so on. Yeah, about the stakeholders. So the successful criteria of SSM is, first you have to explore, yeah, as many as issues, yeah. Use shopping, yeah, shopping issues.
Yeah.
Explore, yeah, as many as issues, and because the philosophy SSM is number one, successful transformation should involve, yeah, participation of all the stakeholders. Without it, then the transformation will fail. Yeah. So your transformation is should involve as many as stakeholders. Yeah. So I understand that in the SSM, the stakeholder is categorized into owners, customers, and actors.
Yeah.
Gitu ya. So could you explain to us, yeah?
Yeah.
You already mentioned in the stakeholder, but to the audience maybe you need to explore who is the owners, who is the actors, who is the customers in your transformation, please.
I'd like to. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Prof. Utomo, for the questions. So first of all, I would like to come back on what is the ultimate of our research is. So I want to recommendations actionable framework for this matter. So the owner of this is OJK, government policymakers, industry association, and fintech platform leadership. So this is the owner of this process. Who is the customer of this? This is the unbanked and underbanked individual, MSMEs, and also community seeking sustainable and appropriate financial access. Second is the actors. The actors is fintech platform. OJK is also the actors. Why OJK is also the actor? Also, he is also OJK is also the owner, because OJK is also in this part of the problematic situations. OJK is one of them that also creating problems, and also another regulatory bodies. There are Kominfo. There are also like police department. And recently, I just knew that also social department is also, but I haven't have what we call it, like opportunity to meet them. But after I send out the invitation of the my dissertation defense, once from social department want to contacted me to discuss about it. So maybe on the actors, maybe because they care about poverty, and then traditional banks, because banks is the one who supply fund to fintech lending. Also, community lender and educational institutions. What the transformations I already mentioned, right, previously, and the worldview is different between the conceptual that I dream comparing to the real world situation that we have. So for everyone in this room, so the owner is OJK, government policymaker, industry, and the actors is fintech platform, OJK, regulatory bodies, traditional banks.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's involving the stakeholder that involve, yeah,
Yes.
in the transformation
Yes.
problematic. So
Yes.
every stakeholder has concern, yeah,
Concerns, yes.
issues. So you represent the issues into 5 root definition.
Yes, 5 root definitions.
5 root definition. So then my question is how you get the accommodated root definition from root definition. What process you use? Yeah. This is based on the negotiation, like would you have a win-win negotiation, or just you involve the super authority in the situation, or you decide by yourself?
Okay, so thank you, Pak. So this is the problem root definitions. How I convey to this is first if you, because I do a qualitative research, we do, like Prof. Utomo said, collecting of problems. So all problems is already in my attachments of my dissertations. All of them coded. After this coded, we try to put this as a classifications. This is a bit subjective, I may say, but I think this can be audited, meaning that if finally, oh, this is problem fall into customer protection system, so I will put here. this is aggressive collections. Okay, this problem must be go to customer protection system. And also there are also regulatory oversight system. This,
Just to.
Yeah. yeah,
So you too, you create by yourself. Right?
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but not only creating by myself, we also doing confirmations, not only creating by myself, since like I'm not sitting and then just creating. No, after this, there are several, because in SSM, there are several times that we discussing, not only one time doing it, and after that, we met and we discuss. Sometimes whether is it okay that this fall into this category.
Get agreement for all the.
Yes, yes, Pak, yes. Yes, yes. Because so for instance, like for the customers, I do a follow-up. So after the FGD, there are also several meetings with one of the, not someone in Gombong. I went to Gombong doing this, but the confirmations is not only from Gombong and Jakarta, but also from another person that also customer. Not those two populations that first we are doing it, but try to get the confirmation on that one. Yes, yes.
Confirmation is problematic.
Yes. Yes.
How the issues come up to the
Yes.
Yes. Transformation.
Yes.
Accommodated transformation.
Yes.
Okay. So next, the second criteria of SSF is systemically desirable and culturally visible. Yeah? How do you convince us that your solution fulfill the two criteria?
Yeah, I think on the systematically desirable, I think systemically, yeah. Systemically, okay. Systemically desirable. I think on this part, we already had an agreement of everybody. Are you okay that this is our concerns? There's like what Pak Budi also mentions. It is the same common problem for all of us. And then on the feasible, during the catwalk and then the transformations, we also discuss, because this method make me have a lot of discussions, Pak. So come back again and then try to fine tune and then come back to have another discussion and come back again. And we make sure that the solutions is not only because in the conceptual, in the step 4, we have the conceptual one, and then in the step 5, when we face into the world view, the reality, we need to ensure that all that we are planning to do is feasible in terms of executions, Prof. Yeah, so that's what we are doing.
Yeah, thanks. I think you need to explore,
Yeah.
what the mean of solution that produced by SSM, because SSM cannot guarantee the optimization.
Okay.
But you have to show that the solution should fulfill the systemically, not
Yeah.
systematically,
Systemically, yeah.
desirable and culturally visible.
Yeah.
And next about PHP, PHP. So I know that from the several research that use combination between SSM and EXP, and you also propose the combination between SM and EXP. So my question is, what the difference from the previous research? What your uniqueness? What your contribution in combining SSM and EXP compared with the previous research?
Yeah.
Similar reproduction.
I think there was also feedback from Pak Budi in the last examiners on regarding this. So I think the uniqueness of my SSM combined with AHP is I put it in this context, in this financial literacy program. The other
not in the object, but in the methodology style. How you combine SSM and EXP so that.
Yeah, I think the more specific things that we do is we started with the qualitative one, and then after that we try to doing axis what you call it, like coding, comparing to the open coding. So I think this is the hardest part that we try to make sure that the open coding to the Axis coding is representable. This is also something that that maybe in the future we try to give some like model that this is something that you can do, say from the qualitative coding, translate it into the actual coding to be executed in SSM. Is in AHP, sorry.
I think my second proposal is
Yeah.
need to explore, to try to review,
Yeah.
in SSN,
Yeah.
So please find the position, where is the position, in terms of combination between SM and SP.
Okay.
You can use the multi-methodology framework
Yeah.
from Termingers,
Okay.
and use it to define what the uniqueness of your
Yeah.
definition.
Yeah.
The last question is because of time, I think the last question. You use XP and the stage 6,
Yeah.
You know that SSM is evolved to words, to word, system word and reality.
Yeah.
So the step 6 is reality.
Yes.
So why you put AXP in the reality, not in the system word?
Yeah. Thank you.
in your dissertations. So perhaps you can discuss, you give elaborations about your finding. For example, I see that you find on page 151, 152 that there's a margin risk mismatch between the productive fintech lending, where productive lenders face a rate cap approximately for 0.1%, if I'm not mistaken, per day, while they're serving SMEs that are relatively risky, and also there's no collateral. While in the same time, consumer lending is more viable, so they come up with some paradox. We call it you call it as a pricing paradox, correct? Yeah, that given that context, it's because it's related to the credit risk, the uniform cap may create mismatch between the pricing credit of the underlying borrowers, but unfortunately, I didn't see any recommendations or something, in the in a policy alternative, in your dissertation. While I think this is also one make that the poverty alleviation is very interesting part, that might be caused by this problem as well. I just wonder, why you are not putting the the products, I mean the mismatching products, given that you can perhaps make like a price risk-based pricing, or something. Perhaps you can give us explanation. That's
Okay, Pak Yuda, very good question. I think everybody know in Indonesia that the productive fintech lending should be the priority from the government rather than consumptive fintech lending. Like in my background, that we still have a very huge gap of credit gap in Indonesia. But the reality, if you can see now, the productive fintech lending is collapsed because of many things. Some of them because of the governance inside the fintech, also because of the pricing from the regulators. I always have believed that pricing equals to risk that we face. Okay, if the government cannot provide an infrastructure, a data to underwrite the productive lending, forever and ever, this will not work. If you can see, not only the fintech lending, also the SME lending in the bank. Maybe Pak Yuda already know, right? A lot of problematic on the SME lending. So for instance, like pricing, in my opinion, pricing is not the only solutions, because governments want to look cute that our pricing is low, but they forget that the pricing is reflecting the risk. So if the risk is not reducing, the pricings cannot be reducing. If you reduce the price, the risk is still there, you kill the industry. So I think this is the principle, number one. Second, on how, I think like recommendations things, you can, maybe if you can see another country, Pak Yuda, Vietnam, India, they already put a system called GST. So all tax is already can be retrieved by the banks, meaning that if company paying tax more, they deserve a more line of credit. In Indonesia, there is no relations. So the connections between tax and lending should be there. So if you want to have a good risk management in bank, provide bank data to underwrite the SME. So the key is the linkage between tax office and also bank. If tax office can give the bank information how much tax that paid to the government, and OJK also have a direction that you only can give credit if the company is pay tax. This is something the transparency is there, because in Vietnam, in India, they're very easy. The productive fintech just They retrieve data, GST from the government, and then they underwrite, and then they can see that this is a good company or a bad company based on tax paid to the government. One of them, I'm not saying that will solve everything, but big things because in Indonesia, normally SME have three financial report for tax, financial report for banks, and financial report for their true financial report. So there are different things. So this is something that need to be. So why we don't put this as price paradox? Maybe I'll put as a note, Pak Yuda. I think this is a good thing. Maybe we can add as a revision for this.
Okay, thank you, Pak. Yeah, that's because it's actually some of your main finding as well, yeah. But interesting what you already mentioned, because I don't know how to say it, but the idea is that by giving the cap, actually the governments or the governments killing its own son because
Yeah, I agree.
because you make if you look good, but at the back, everyone suffer.
Yes, including all, not only, I think the principle of pricing that I believe is price must be aligned with the risk. If government want the price is dropped, governments must have efforts to reduce the risk. All transparency.
Is there no government support for this kind of? I think if for the KUR there, the government have some incentive. I don't know, subsidized, yeah. So because it's 5% and then subsidized. And for the fintechs, there's any?
No, I think on KUR there are another story again. KUR also killed rural banks. So there's another maybe topics that we can discuss on KUR. But government's not helping because what need to be done by government is doing a policy, just simply doing a policy, but the policy should be meaningful to help the industry. So the industry will not be, what you call it, like killed, like you said, by their own government. So this is something like, because I think what my concerns is, I'm really want to see productive fintech is growing in Indonesia because, like I mentioned previously, MSME, 97% of our workforce there. So if MSME can be supported by a good fintechs, because currently the problem is MSME is very bad. So what we are doing, okay, we change to create another PT. So because previous PT is already very bad in the bank, right? So perpetually this will be forever problems. Yeah.
I agree with you that actually we need to make a model that sustain, because subsidy is not something that can sustain for longer periods. So means that need to be market that will do the rest. Yeah. Okay, that's my first interest, and then second, because you also trying to see in the dissertation, yes, because that the productive and consumptive lending is different characters, correct? But you come up with one model. How you can explain that? Because you already mentioned one for creating something, but one for just immediate consumption.
Yeah, I think in the principle is the same, Pak Yuda. I think both from productive and consumptive, the principle is the same. The principle of lending is the same. If I lend you, you have to pay me back. As simple as that. Whatever the types of lending is the same, including corporate lendings. But the difference is corporate lending, people who are presenting, people who are applying know exactly what they manage, how to manage lending. But for SME and also the people in common, the problem is more or less is the same. Even for SME, they don't know how to create a laporan keuangan or financial report. So there is also an application, right? A buku warung. Buku warung is also try to help SME, but you can see the buku warung now. They are going nowhere as well, right? Because of this is something that more fundamental. That financial literacy is also need to be done for the SME, not only for the common people like us. Yeah.
So you try to see that basically the models are same. Yeah.
Model is the same. I think this can be done not only for this because if you see my framework, this can be done. Also, regulatory oversight is also the same. So how can a fintech that already make a problem? Like I said, too many to fail. So the regulators doesn't want to look bad by not closing the fintech that, especially in the productive lending, right? Some case. So it took for investor to be closed maybe around near to 2 years. They formally closed because they don't want the investor P2P lending has hit because of that. And I think this is a big issue on the at the time. So I think this is more or less is the same.
Okay, thank you. Last question, yeah. It is because it's also interesting that your findings of financial education is the important factors here. So I would like to see about the repayment performance by understanding the financial educations and also the borrower welfare. Means that suppose financial education succeeds by improving discipline for repayment, because we know how to pay. Then we try to make there's the lowest NPL, pay good repayment. But another things that when someone try to repay, they need allocation from the other resource. I mean, by selling something or reducing their household costs and so on and so forth, means that actually they lower welfare. Does it means that by education, good education, they repay a good payment for the fintechs, for example, but in the other side, the welfare is questionable. I mean, they sacrifice other things. It's been that it's already because education is good. How about it's about in your framework?
Okay, thank you. I will give you a very simple example of this. So I doing consultative lenders maybe around 20 years of my career, and maybe there are some of my team also here. So in Indonesia, if we divide it by geography, which area that have lowest delinquency rate? The lowest is Bali. Do you see the Bali welfare is different with another part of Java, say Jakarta? No, Bali is not richer than Jakarta, but Bali performance is better. Because of what? Because of they have beliefs that if you not paying the loan, there is a karma for you. I think this is something that I can demonstrate. If financial education is doing very well, your behavior towards lending is also different. We say that our Indonesia is very religious, but if you owe money, how come you don't pay, right? I think this is something that is why I say, I respond to Ibu Maya at the time that, Bu Maya, there is no cost for this because we already have a lot of pastors, a lot of kiai, a lot of things that you can spread out this message to not, if you, a simple message that if you have loan, you must repay. So that's the demonstrations that an educations of values, educations, this value meaning that this financial education is very simple things. If you can do like what Bali do, this is something that we can do across of Indonesia. I'm not saying I'm not saying that other part is not religious, but one of the worst delinquency. Can you guess where is it?
Yeah.
Bandung. West Java is the worst delinquency. I don't know why, but this is the factual data that we have. There are two provinces that always are high, West Java and North Sumatra. There are two always. On the consumer lending, I'm not saying the other. Yeah, and West Java, yes. Bali always the lowest.
Okay, I think that's all from my side. Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity.
All right, thank you very much. I think West Java is not West because there is a financial teachers here. So it's not good financial teacher.
I think ITB should be take part of it, right?
All right. The last questions come from advisor. Okay, Pak
Okay,
Yos.
thank you, Chair. Thank you also the examiners, co-promoters for the question to Pak Thomas. Congratulations, Pak Thomas, to reach this stage. I think you've done quite substantial works doing SSM and also ASP in the area of fintech lending. So there's been very comprehensive question asked to you regarding the methodology as well as the context of fintech lending and education as well. So let me just follow up with maybe 2 or 3 questions. First is in relation to, I think the title, if you look at the title, is about some like ASP framework for prioritizing fintech lending to support poverty alleviation. Yeah, the word poverty alleviation is the thing that you want to look at, right?
Yes.
And how we can use it, the fintech, to help poverty alleviation. But the findings shows that if you look at the ASP, there's the lowest percentage. Yeah, in term. Well, maybe you can explain how we can interpret them. Does it mean that's actually it's not really the real focus of fintech lending is on poverty alleviation, or is the impact that we have to happen with the fintech lending, and whether your studies actually confirm that it doesn't work like that, or there is no evidence that we're going that way.
Yeah.
So that we need to adjust so that it goes that way. Yeah. So maybe and also the SP shows that the overall consensus is about 38.5, meaning that among stakeholders, there may be different interests that they have for those factors that you evaluate. Yeah. And this means that who actually give focus on poverty alleviation, and they mainly the government's people that you ask to fill the ASP, or it can be other stakeholders that thinks that poverty alleviation is important. That's my first question. Maybe you can answer that first.
Okay, so I think the 13.1% attached to a criterion, not the goal. So the goal at the apex of the hierarchy remains optimizing fintech lending for poverty alleviations. So the criteria describe how experts judge candidate, what we call it, like this is towards that goal. The panel's judgments is that a strategy with maximum theoretical poverty impact, but poor on continuity. So weak stakeholder acceptance, unmanaged risk, or invisible implementation will fail deliver lasting poverty reductions. So I think what they say, poverty alleviation is a marathon, not a sprint, from their expert view. If we read this weighting as a finding rather than embarrassment because of it, because stakeholders have internalized the lessons of access first, interventions rather than maximize immediate to reach, and then immediate reach and then collapse. They want to have like a sustainability first. Prioritizing continuity and acceptance is sophisticated sustainability orientations. And I think this is precisely what reduces the education first sequencing that constitute the dissertation practical recommendations, because they want to see a more longer sustainable rather than, okay, directly to the poverty alleviation. So I think that's something that I try to read what the expert judgment, but I leave it like this: 13.1% is the lowest, yes,
Yeah.
but I think how they see it is not on the numbers, but I think yeah.
Okay, to continue on that, you've done interviews with the customers, right?
Yes, yes.
Among those customers, do you find evidence that any of them actually getting hurt by getting alleviated from their property because of fintech lending.
Yes, there is one. That is why I follow up with in-depth interview to understand how they can use fintech to improve their life. So I try to because this person is slightly different. He is a driver located in Tangerang. So he is the only one who are not cursed fintech. Everybody curse fintech. Everybody have problem, but this one, no. I have a very good opportunity with fintech. Before that, I never have an opportunity to get lending. Now they have lending. So during the in-depth interview, after the FGD that I did, so I proposed an in-depth interview with him. Why you can use fintech as your, what we call it, like tools to improve your life. So there are two things, and two things is confirmed by Pak Toro discussing with me and Pak Toro regarding the values. So what his values is two. Number one is discipline. So he know exactly how much money that he bought, and then he spread exactly what they do. So for instance, like he said that I borrow 1 million now, and if I repay disciplinedly, I will not get any fees. I will not get any additional interest. So he only bought only if he had, they call it a project. So he's somebody coming from Central Java, and what he do is he bought something and he send it. So like a dagang. So he make it, and he can have profit from that, and he just doing it concurrently, and he had a lot of benefit doing that. So the key is the values that he is having. Like first is discipline. Second is like Bali's value. If I don't pay a loan, there's something bad happen to me. So I think this is the values thing that I try to think to get from this interview. Yeah.
Okay. So this is one of the models.
One of the
that,
models, yes.
Fintech lending should be used. Right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. My second questions, or maybe last question, yeah, because limited time that we have. So your recommendations that the stages is there are 4 stages, right? The what's the educations, and then what's the second one? Educations, and then the regulation, consumer protection, technology, right? Technology integration. But this come from after you do study on the fintech lending dissemination in the society.
Yeah.
But usually when new innovation coming up, you don't start with education because we don't know what happened, and the regulation may not be there yet. Yeah, not even customer protection on that. So the technology just come. So we can say that because that's for something that's already happened, right? When the new innovation coming up, we'll follow this stage again, right? So based on this experience, what do you think is the best way to do? Yeah, rather than going on the hindsight already something happened there, then you do this.
Okay, I will answer these questions on the maybe what next financial innovations will come. So to Indonesia, I think the next will come is digital asset. So everything is doing digital. So in this new technology in France, so the things that we must do is the same. We must understand what is digital asset, right? So despite all of the innovations, why I put technology is the last part, because before technology is come to Indonesia, the government not just blindly accept it from outside, but the government need to prepare the society first. Do they know digital asset? Okay, something come digital asset, and then government said, okay, we sell digital asset for everybody. And then, this will be still the same. In my opinion, the first you have to do a literacy first. What is digital asset? Second is the government need to be ready. What could go wrong from digital asset? Is there the law is already ready? Is this something that we already prepared? And then just adopt. Don't do adoption technology first without preparing the society. That's my critics as well to the government. Sometimes we just too fast to adopt technology without preparations in our society. So a lot of society
Ngen-
Ya, silakan masuk. Istrinya nggak ikut? Takutnya setelah lulus ganti. Oke, oke, oke. Oke, silakan berdiri di tengah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we just finished the first session of Dissertation Defense, and then I like to reopen to announce the result of the evaluation and speech from the promoter. I will read the assessment result that based on the examinations process today, we like to announce that Thomas Airlangga, name 390230013, is passed with graduate for doctoral examination 4.56. It's been getting A. Okay. With the long of studies, less than 8 semesters, and publication 2 Q1 Scopus, so he got the predicate of PhD with summa cum laude. So then I'll ask the chief promoter to give a speech for him.
Thank you, Chair. Big congratulations to Dr. Thomas Airlangga. Yeah, big applause again to him. Yeah, I think these 3 years, let's say, run very fast. Yeah, and you are completing your study. But I think if you look back 3 or 4 years ago, you should thank your wife, especially. Yeah. Your wife has been supporting you even to do the admission process, right? You still remember because the first time you do the admission process, you failed to complete it. No, yeah, failed to complete the document, so you missed 1 year. Year after, your wife comes to the Jakarta office and sit with you to fill the form, yeah, to make sure that you are registered. Yeah, so you should. So thanks your wife, Ibu Sarah Thomas Airlangga, and also to your beautiful daughter, Lala, and also your son. So I know he's studying in Australia at the moment, Rafa. He's watching now. So yeah, so you should be proud with your dad achievement in completing the doctoral degree with summa cum laude, yeah, which is a very excellent achievement. Yeah, completing on time 3 years And the publication also, a very good publication that's been done by Pak Thomas. Would also like to thank you, co-promoter Pak Dr. Oktova Yuda Sudrajat, for doing the supervision together to, what to say, actually to guide Pak Thomas. Pak Thomas is low maintenance student, yeah, meaning that, yeah, we don't need to work very hard to push him, yeah, because he's pushing himself already. So that's the standard of PhD student that we hope to have for others. So if there are any DSM students here, so this is a very good example. Although he's busy doing his job at the company, in the banking sectors and in the what to say, top level position as well, but he's still doing the dissertation very well, doing the publication, and although there are many rejects that he received, yeah, maybe, yeah, many, many, many. Yeah, I heard from experience of Pak Toro, yeah, what to say, is in the same batch with Pak Thomas, yeah, Pak Toro, yeah. So congratulations, Pak Thomas. Hopefully, your research and the output of your research, the framework you develop, can be used by the private sector or the governments, and provide useful contribution for academic society. So congratulations, Dr. Thomas Airlangga.
Thank you, Chief Promoter. Ladies and gentlemen, let me congratulate to Dr. Thomas Airlangga and the promoter team. And also you have to make a correction of some suggestion from the examiners, and you have to finish this correction no more than 10 days, yeah, because the judicial will be conducted on 18th of August. Especially your big contribution in drawing, so please improve the drawing. It's not fragmented into 4 sectors, but also influenced by input, process, and output. On behalf of the Dean of School of Business Management, Institut Teknologi Bandung, I would like to thank the promoter team and the examiners to the contribution of this successful event. And also I would like to express our gratitude to the audience who have followed the session from the beginning until the end. After this session is closed, we make a photograph to prove to the KSPS ITB. Thank you very much. I close this examination. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.
Pak, 1, 2, 3.